Welcome to Arcade Couch, best place to chill with your friends to get your gaming goodness each and every Monday. My name's Don Blight. Joining me on the show this week, Ashley Hobley.
Hey Don, excited to be here, but I have to announce, starting next week, the role of Arcade Couch Ashley will be performed going forward by Chris Pratt.
Do you want to give us a little taste test of that going forward, or?
Hey guys, it's me, Mario. I hate Mondays. I love healthy kids. Church.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
In Italian.
That was Italian.
Who's that, Seth Rogen? We're off to a good start. I'll say Kira Marchant.
You know what? Normally I endorse these shenanigans, but why? Why?
Just saying, was it past week's episode of Platt? We just did an impromptu, basically, sketch show at some point. So it's been a week. It's been a week. All right.
Was that this week?
I don't know. Last week? No, last week technically. This is our Monday.
Coming off the toilet mat discussion.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Ready?
Revealed to me that our fans and listeners are kind of
ready. If you listened last week, you know we spent some time discussing Unpacking, which is a very good video game, and we discussed it very seriously. So after the whole toilet mat dilemma, or whatever we want to call it, the toilet mat problem of 2021, toilet mat dilemma, toilet mat dilemma of 2021, poll went up on Explosion Network, at Explosion Pod on Twitter. Important question from this week's Arcade Couch. Toilet mats, they're fine or they're gross. The final results, 64% say they're fine, with 36% saying they're gross. So the people have spoken, gross. Kieran.
They're so gross. No, I asked a couple of my friends as well, and it was very split, and I'm like, what the fuck? Also, I was getting called out for needing to aim better or other poor functionality of my body. And no, I
will say,
these claims.
You need to think like 50% of the world population, perfectly, it's not an issue for them.
Exactly. That is true.
So how many households are just women, so they don't even have to think about any issues with the toilet mats?
Exactly. It keeps their feet warm from the cold tiles. I understand.
Yeah.
Get that completely.
Yeah, what a segment. Also, to cap this off, I thought of this after last week's show because this is how my brain works. And you just reminded me just then. But some women could have the same problem.
That's true. I won't apologize.
Yeah. I was like,
I don't want to assume.
Yeah, I thought about it after the show, but I'm like, it's not it was just what the fuck's it? Inclusion?
Not to exclude anybody.
Yeah.
Not to exclude anybody and say that.
Listen, women, if you want to peel over their toilet mats, it's perfectly fine.
Please, feel free to do it more if you want to give it more of a reason why they're gross, because they are gross.
If your streams go everywhere, I'm not going to judge.
And that's the start of this week's show. So if you're still tuning in, this is what we're going to be talking about this week. Lots of reviews and then Elden Ring gameplay. We don't usually talk about bodily fluids as much, but this past 2 weeks, apparently it has been a thing. All right. That was a moment of transition, I think. Reviews. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games to talk about here. A few of them, of course, not by people here talking about, so they will be shorter. But however, there's a few games to go with. Firstly, Forza Horizon 5. So the two things I'm talking about now, I hopefully have my written review done by the time I post this on Monday, but currently they're both a work in progress. I'm thinking I'm going to give this around a 9.5, 9 maybe. I don't know.
Break the chains of 10s that's been on our website.
I mean, 10
is that why?
I don't know. Maybe I could give it a 10. I don't know. We'll see how I go. But, I mean, any of those numbers are perfectly fine. It's a very good video game. So if you liked Forza Horizon 4, you will definitely like Forza Horizon 5.
Shocker.
It is basically not a huge jump because it's still the same engine. It's still, it's sort of made in quick succession, only a few years apart or whatever. Like, there's nothing big shocking changes here. It's a bunch of small things, and also it has a much bigger map, and Mexico is really beautiful and all these sorts of things. But as far as like big changes to the core Forza Horizon like gameplay loop, what was introduced in 4 as like sort of the core things you're doing, and slight change, the changes you had between 3 and 4 are not the same between 4 and 5. It really does feel almost like a 0.5 to agree. Even as much so, and this is the weird part, is that you're technically, even though the game doesn't read your save file or anything, you are like, supposedly it hints at you're basically playing the same character from the last game. So like, instead of starting it and being a nobody, they're like, hey, super guy, you know, big history of Forza Horizon. They make some hints at some stage you're doing like one of the side mission-y type things you can do that are like typical races is you can do these stunt driving segments in this one for someone, and you got to like jump in a car and perform stunts for them in secret. And you had a similar thing happen in Forza Horizon 4 where you were doing stunt driving, and the character says, I used to be pretty good at this and do this. You know, like, so they're very much implying that you're the same character. Yeah. So it kind of feels like a sequel to Forza Horizon 4, which is weird. But otherwise, it's the same thing where you'll have rally races, so you got street racing, there's the drag racing, dirt racing, so on and so forth. And the game
lots of racing. There's
lots of racing. But the good thing is that if you hate one of those, you don't need to really play any of them to progress in the game at all. Like, I've quote unquote finished the game. I think it took me 19 hours to get to the point where you're at the end again, quote unquote end of the game. There's still so much to do. But it's like, hey, you're in like the Hall of Fame now. You've beat all the major missions or whatever. But even to reach that point, I don't think I've completed 3/4 of any of the races. And I could have easily probably focused on just doing rally races if I wanted, and probably just got enough points. Because no matter what you're doing in the game, you're always earning points that will, once you reach enough, you basically get to unlock another, I can't remember the official word, but you get to unlock another event from these different Horizon stages that they have around the map. And these lead you to the big bombastic things that they had. I think they only had like 4 of in the last game, so this has more. So in this, it's like drive up the huge side of a cliff face, and then they're like, oh shit, a volcano is going to happen, so then you got to race back down. Race this train, try and beat this train, race this, try and race this plane, do this big epic race where there's ATV bikes like jumping over you and doing backflips, and do this other one where you're like basically in a float and you're driving that somewhere for some reason. Like, it's these sort of more cinematic races. They had a handful of these in the last one, but this one has more, which is really good because they were sort of the standout elements from the last game. However, much similar to the last one, I would still say, even though there's more here, I still wish you could get some of these more cinematic moments just randomly built into the moment-to-moment gameplay, which is the thing I would hope that, if they build a next-gen exclusive, like from the ground up with Forza Horizon 6 going forward, I would hope that's part of it. So, like, for example, in the opening of this game, you do that thing where the same as the last game, where it sort of like jumps you between cars really quick in this opening cinematic. They released this gameplay before release, like the majority of it when they showed off the game. It's really good at like showing you the different types of cars and the different, like, oh, you're racing on a road, a dirt track, and all this sort of stuff. It introduces you to the core basics. And at the end of that, you like sort of race into this sandstorm at one part. And I was like, fucking hell, this is really cool. Like, you can't see what's going on around you. The person on the radio is like, no, keep going, you'll be fine, all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, this is epic. Never really get that again. So, and it just made me think like, man, imagine if the game, as you're just driving around the world, had weather conditions built in where a sandstorm could start, and that could change up the game or something. So it definitely feels like that could be a...
What was that Motorstorm one that had sandstorms?
I mean, that wasn't like... That was like each... But that was Apocalypse or whatever, I think. But that had... They were like cinematic moments built into each track. Not in an open world or whatever. Some of the races in this are huge. So this is the biggest Forza map the franchise has ever had. It has a race that it very much sort of puts directly in your face and go, this is the longest, biggest race in Forza history. And it is. I think it took me like 20 minutes to beat, or just shy of 20 minutes to beat. You're literally racing from one side of Mexico to the other. And it's really, really cool. Like, even if I didn't get first, I wouldn't have been like, oh, that was shit, I'd never want to do that again. It would be like, all right, restart race, or I would definitely, like, it's enjoyable. Like, the 20 minutes you're not, like, sitting on highways, it makes sure to loop you through different areas, and you get to see different parts of the location. And I guess the location is, like, also one of the other standout things that people have been talking about. The game is very, very pretty. I started off in whatever the visual mode's called, not performance, whatever, the visual one, which runs at locked 30 on Series X and 4K resolution. That looks good. However, I switched it down to the 60 frames where it's probably around 1440p or something like that, I think. Oh, no, they say it's 4K, but they've knocked, so the resolution's the same, but they've knocked down some of the graphical, like, I guess, textures and stuff like that has been knocked down to achieve the 60. But I mean, when you're going at times 300 miles an hour or 300 k's an hour, whatever the hell, actually I think it's k's, 300 k's an hour in this game at times, and, you know, trying to do these corners and whatever else, like, I just don't think there's, personally, once you switch to 60, I don't know how you could switch back. The visual quality is, like, sort of noticeable at times, especially if you're in photo mode or something like that. However, in the moment-to-moment gameplay, I just don't know why you would not want the frames, double frames over anything else. But it's still, like, one of the best looking next gen, current gen, whatever you want to call it, games that you can be playing right now. It is very, very pretty. I think you can pretty much find by now, you go on Twitter, you look up pictures of Forza Horizon 5, and lots of the screenshots just look like they're legit, real cars, like, or scenes taken in locations, and that's really, really good. I enjoyed, obviously, I thought Forza Horizon 4 looked good and whatever else, but sorry to say, Kieran, but little old Britain over there, not to stand up to as exciting as Mexico was.
Well, I think that's true enough in real life as it is.
They've had a lot more
in-game
variety to it.
That's why Britain was always trying to invade other places, because, you know, they're more exciting.
Exactly.
Right.
And then we gave a really nice place to a bunch of convicts and left ourselves on this tiny island that was always great.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to put it. Yeah, so the Mexico's location is really, like, a lot more varied than I think people would have assumed. You've got, like, I can't remember the city's name off my head, but there's a main city in the middle of the map, and you do a lot of street races there, and they're these really tight city areas where you're often going in tunnels and all this racing around really tight corners and doing several street races around there. It makes it feel like a completely different game to when you're on the outskirts and you're in the more deserty areas and you're doing these rally things, dirt races and stuff like that. And then there are really pretty sections into the forest where there's like temples and, like, stuff in the game actually has times where characters will take you there and they're explaining the real world significance of this and, like, the history of this place. So, like, it's hard for me to say because obviously white dude, but I feel like they've put a lot of, like, effort and love into portraying a Mexico that feels a lot more vibrant and culturally, I guess, more interesting than the typically portrayed rundown, deserty type stuff that you may see always on your typical, you know, Saturday evening TV show or you know, anything like that. It feels a lot more vibrant and interesting. So that's really good. But overall, Forza Horizon 5, very, very, very good racing game. Probably like, if you want to race, if you want a good racing game, I don't think there's really a choice at this point. You're playing Forza Horizon. I would say it is that inch better than 4 was at launch because they've got some of the stuff down where you're not forced into doing, like, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Like, you're never like, oh, you need to do some of these races to unlock the next thing. It's like, no, whatever you're doing is fine. You'll just continue doing it. Eventually you'll unlock points. You'll unlock the next, like, major story beat or whatever. For some reason, your character talks in this one, which is annoying because the voice acting is pretty shit. But other than that, it's like fine. The radio stations are really good in this one, like legit. The last one I think was sort of forgettable. It was okay. This game has some bangers in it. Foo Fighters in it. Kieran, shout outs.
Let's go.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I just feel like I needed a little bit something new. It just feels like more iterative on 4 than a fully fledged 5, if that makes sense. Not saying that's going to be bad, but yeah.
Easily a question that could turn into a counterpoint against something that somebody on this couch is going to jump on. Is it a little bit more okay that it isn't as revolutionary, a bit more iterative, as the fact that majority of people are going to play this game via Xbox Game Pass rather than pay for the full title?
I don't know. 6 will probably be on Game Pass as well, though, is the thing.
No. Like, everybody's going to be on Game Pass, but, like, is it more... I don't want to say allowable, but it's more kind of understandable, or you can live with that fact a little bit more, that it hasn't, massively changed because you're not really going out and spending a bunch more money on
to
it?
clarify, this game's worth $100 for sure. Like, if you're playing on Game Pass, awesome. You've got no reason not to try it out. However, it's definitely worth $100. It's worth more than $100, the amount of content. As I said, I've put like shy of 19, I think I'm in like 19 a bit hours. So I'm nearly 20 hours, and I still would feel like, even if I doubled that, I wouldn't have done everything. I could triple that. And that's not to mention the ongoing sort of monthly content that they're adding, changing stuff. Like, there's always shit to do, not on top of people creating their own tracks in this massive world and whatever else. The money value is here. It's like, my complaint is like less than an actual criticism and more of like, from a personal perspective, 4 was so exciting because it felt so fresh and new with the season system and the way they changed out. You could do everything with driver tasks constantly going around and all this other stuff. Whereas this, I came into it and I'm like, I feel like I'm at home again, because it feels like 4 from a couple of years ago, or even last year when I went back and played it for 5-6 hours on Series X. But yeah, it doesn't feel as new. It just feels like they refined, and what they already had was really fucking good, and this is really fucking good. It's more of really fucking good. And it's really fun. Like, the other thing is, I feel like people, because you'll see a lot of people talking about this, and I definitely we'll get to the end of the year, and I'm going to obviously be pushing this probably into some sort of Game of the Year discussion type thing. It's not going to win, but like, it's in that category for me. And the thing for people who are like, yeah, but I don't like car games. I don't care if you don't like car games. 100% you can give this a go. The difficulty slider, you can literally have this. The game runs on a system of, you can change it to be really easy and you're just getting less credits from wins. You can change it to be really hard and you're getting like plus 75% credits per win. But if you can play it really easy and it doesn't matter. Whatever suits you, the game. You don't pick a setting at the start, easy, medium, hard. You can literally change it on the fly. You could change it to, you could try hard. Like, the game, I keep winning. The game's like, do you want to bump it up to the next difficulty? I did that, and then I lost 2 races in a row, and I was like, nah, I'm actually quite comfortable winning. And I like bumped it back down to where I was like, whatever, yeah. So yeah, it's on Game Pass, so I feel like if everyone's got Game Pass and you haven't played Forza Horizon at this stage, now is the time. Talking about sports shit, I guess. Racing is a sport, right? Ash, you've played Football Manager 2022. I thought I said that 3 times.
That's the year.
Your first solo video game review on ExplosionNetwork.com.
Yeah, it's good, they haven't just ruined the franchise. It's not going to win over anybody who doesn't like this type of games. I know it's very much a niche audience, like of and sports managers. Like, obviously, there's a lot of people who actually play it, but they've got enough of an audience to like put out a yearly release. But yeah, there's some like incremental changes and that kind of stuff. Kind of the big one they've done this year is the data hub, which is like a hub for all the information that you got all your analytics stuff, all the different graphs that can be accumulated from all your match statistics and that kind of stuff. And that kind of the summary of that information depends on how much how good your analysts are that you're hired for your club. So it's like, for the first time, it's like worthwhile, like actually hiring good analysts and that kind of stuff, so they can kind of give you information and feedback on how your team's going and that kind of stuff. And that other changes, they've changed up how Deadline Day works. There's a whole specific hub for Deadline Day where you can list all the rumors going around about the players going in and out and what players looking to make moves and that kind of stuff. Small things that fans will like and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 9.
So you gave it a 9
on the website. There's a couple of different things. Like, they've moved like on the players page, you'd be able to see like how they rank amongst all the other people in their position. That's kind of been moved elsewhere, so it's not like an easy to find thing anymore, which is kind of something I've been used to, having played however many iterations of the game previous. And then the other thing I mentioned in my review is like something that I think they're probably working on, and or at least they should be working on, is like, why isn't there a like the women's game in the game? You know, obviously it's like a booming part of football at the moment. So not being able to manage a women's team doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when you compare it to like FIFA or NBA 2K, which both have women's leagues to play and that kind of stuff. So yeah. Other than that, great. I really enjoyed it. I've put 47.4 hours.
Fucking hell.
So,
Holy shit.
You know, one that took my played as Parma in the Serie B, won the Serie B first season. You know, played a bit with my Brisbane Royal team, sitting second on the A-League ladder. You know, good times.
Oh dear. Yeah. And I'm sure that time will just double and then triple over.
Probably.
Yeah.
You know, it was good. I was able to catch up on stuff on some TV.
I was going to say, that's 40 hours of you not, like, solely dedicated to that, though. That's, like, you doing other things while you're playing.
Yes,
though,
it's definitely, like, kind of a passive experience for me, so.
Alright, so the other thing I haven't finished my review for, but I've been playing, and I think I did mention last week, but I can't remember. I don't remember. Mario Party Superstars. So, this is the one that they sort of, Nintendo's making up for the last one by having actual real online in it, and it combines things from the past history of Mario Party games. You've got like a selection of mini games from everything, and when you jump into a board, they've remade some of the boards from the old games to this, and then also some of the mini games have been remastered. Or, no, not remastered. They've remade mini games because they definitely look a lot better. And then you can like select if you just want to play with some of the older ones or mix them all together and so on and so forth. On a core value, it's Mario Party, so like nothing really changes. You are literally moving around on a board. You stop on things, you earn coins, you buy items or unlock items on mystery things. You can get like, triple dice, warp things. What else? I think there's like 5 boards without double checking at launch. And all the boards are very different. So they all have different sorts of events that'll happen on them over time. So the first one's fairly simple. There's just one point where if you land on a certain button, Bowser will pretty much move Captain Toad and across to a different point on the map, and that's where you need to pass to buy a star. And of course, you need the stars to win the game. The person at the end of the 15 rounds or however many turns you've chosen to play your game with is the person who wins the game. So that's pretty simple. In some of the other ones, like there's a I think it's set in I don't know, it's like a scary one. It's like in a scary forest or something. I can't remember the name of it though. But like switches between night and daytime between different things, and that causes different events that happen on the board. There's another one where you can plant like piranha plants if you pay some coins as you pass it, and they'll like eat people as they go past. Like there's enough changes. There's a space one where you can activate something where it sends like a bullet bill like spaceship thing that will knock people off the board back spaces if they're in the way of it, and this sort of stuff. So I started playing it. I did like I think I did my first 2 games just playing against AI opponents because I was playing it on my lunch break at work. And that was fine. Like it's like sort of I'm playing and then basically I'd have my turn, then I'd stop paying attention as the AI did their turns and be like looking on Twitter at the same time or something like that. Again, like sort of a passive experience. You could definitely I could have been watching something at the same time for all I care. And I did we recorded something prior to this where I was playing something for half an hour. I was playing Mario Party for half an hour. I just had to go Mario Party at the end of this movie, Venom, I was watching. So that's certainly a way to go about it. And I think if you left it at that, it would just be comparable to the last entry where it's like, there's another meh. Unless you've got friends, you're probably not going to find playing against AI very exciting. However, we do have actual online here. And when you start playing against real people, it does add a little bit more of an exciting element because then at least when you go into the mini games that if you're having a free-for-all, you're playing against real people, so it's a little bit more exciting. If you are chucked into a mini game where it's 2v2, you're on a team with someone, and there's what do you call it? The downhill sled sport thing. What the fuck's that?
The bobsledding.
Bobsledding thing. So there's one of those where you have to press left or right together and try and to do like the corners perfectly as you're like going super fast down this thing. So then it's like this person had last night as they're doing it. It's like, fuck, you need to like why are you fucking me up? So it adds a little bit more excitement to it, both negative and positive, because you can have like really shitty people or whatever, but it at least livens up the overall experience. There's no like it's Nintendo, so you don't have to put up with like kids scream at you. It does use and there's no like text input to like start chatting with people. You can use stickers that you unlock with coins as you play more matches. You can unlock stickers, and you can use these just to do funny things. Like if you like, I fucked up a minigame horribly. Like I accidentally fell off the edge like the second the minigame started. So it's like I just open up the sticker thing and pick the one that's like Yoshi being like, "What?" You know, like the like sad face sort of thing. So, and even then, like having other people do similar things fuck up or do really good, and then they're posting cheeky stickers being like sad or happy or laughing at you or whatever. Like it does feel more like communal, which is what the game is best at. Like if you don't have the ability to play with real people, and I've had no problems with the online experience I got code launch day, and I've played, I don't know, 3 or 4 online matches now. They take like 45 minutes to beat basically. So you have to commit a bit of time to play one of these games. I think you can, if you put it on more turns, it'll take you like over an hour to beat a game of Mario Party. So if you've got the time, go for it. But like I've had no problems. You literally switch to online, and then the game reboots, and then from the selection screen when you boot into a game, you'll be paired up with people, and it actually works like the way you would want it to work, which is surprising because Nintendo and online doesn't usually mix. But you get put in a lobby, people load in, you can see their player level in Mario Party, which basically just goes up the more you play. You can see the username, you can click on their little profile cards and see what they've set as your you can set 4 favorite mini games, you can set your favorite Mario Party game, you unlock different titles as you unlock more levels. So, like that sort of thing where like you start and it's just like bored person, and you get more exciting titles it's got in-game achievements, which just makes me go, well, that's cool, but can you just add achievements to the Switch? Like, and they've done this a couple times now, which makes me again think maybe they are thinking about it, because I think this and Snap, or maybe something else as well of recent memory, had like in-game achievements, like actual achievements that you can look at, and it says, get this many coins, win this many games. There's one for the online stuff that says like win 10 games in a row, or something that just sounds absolutely absurd because there's like luck involved it's a board game where there's luck involved in dice rolling and stuff. But I mean, I've been enjoying it. I think it's fun. I think that it looks really good. The minigame varieties, the most important thing is the minigames are fun. There's enough of them and there's enough variety to them they never like become really annoying or tedious. And there's not one where I'm like, oh, this one, get the fuck out of here sort of thing. My one big negative is that, or the main negative, I guess, is just that it doesn't introduce enough new. Like it still just feels like typical Mario Party. Like even if I'm saying the mini games are fine, it's still just Mario Party. There's nothing, even though I'm saying there's these events that happen on different boards, none of them are super exciting and engaging to the game. It's just the remakes to the old ones. So, it's like whatever. And then the unlock system is not super exciting. So as you complete matches, no matter your position, you'll get some coins. You can use these coins in a shop on not like the home world screen thing, and you can buy character bios, music to play, different card backgrounds or something. Like none of it's exciting. Like I kind of wish that they had a bunch more characters and you had to use coins to unlock those so you could play as them. I don't know if I would say put mini games behind unlocking them, because then how's that work when you're playing online with other people? Unless they were like, you need to buy it to unlock to play by yourself solo offline or other people. But if someone else is the host of a game and it comes up or something, then you can still play it. I don't know. But none of the unlocks, like I had like, thousands of coins the other night, and I'm like, let me just buy some random shit. None of this I want to spend coins on. None of it's exciting. So that's sort of my thing. But yeah, if you like Mario Party, if you have friends or people you could play online with, I think it's a pretty good time if you've enjoyed Mario Party games before. All right. Going through what other people have written for ExplosionNetwork.com in the past week. So joining the ranks of 10s, which is just a meme at this point, because we did. So we had Unpacking, I gave a 10 to last week, and then we're about to list off 2 other games that got a 10. Inscryption. Jacob wrote this one.
Nope.
What?
It's the other way around.
Oh, sorry. I'm reading backwards. Yeah, Insound Mine. Yeah, no, my bad. Insound Mine. I was looking at something else at the same time. Insound Mine, he gave a 10 to. So he says, Insound Mine is a great example of a game by purpose and real thought put into it. I'm usually not a thriller or horror fan. I can honestly say I love this game. The sound design and music is something many companies should follow as it fits perfectly with the game. The game story follows a similar line and path and made me think about mental health and empathy and draw me into and invested in the game's protagonists and the villains of the game. So he really, really liked it. He mostly...
Clearly.
Yeah, we're giving it a 10, yeah. You really like the soundtrack too. That's another thing William wanted made sure to include in the review with a link to the songs. Who the fuck? Living Tombstones. In Sound Mind OST. Yeah. And the themes of the game, I guess, exploring these like mental health background and stuff like that that's going on it. So that's really cool. Read his review, exposurenetwork.com. This one took ages to come out too. I feel like I actually played a demo for this like 2 years ago, and I completely when it released, I was like, "Fuck!" I swear, I didn't write a preview for it, but I remember I downloaded it. One of those. I did play like a preview build demo thing like 2 years ago. I swear, maybe it was only a year. Time is a fucking blur. Who knows? All right, Chantel, that's wrote a review for Inscryption. She gave it a 10.
No way.
No way. She said, Inscryption reminds me that games are capable of much more than we often give them credit for. Daniel Mullins manages to weave a completely surreal and meta-focused narrative into a genre-bending game and successfully create an experimental work of art. This is definitely something I do want to, like, has been, like, if she hadn't wanted to review this, I was totally going to jump on this, because this is the one from the developer of Pony Island.
And the Hex.
And Hex, yeah.
Is this next one?
But I think, so I haven't actually played that, but Pony Island is one of my most, I wouldn't say like I love the game, but as far as like an experience, just because it completely fucked with me. And I think Kieran, didn't you stream that back in the day? Pony Island? No?
Yes, no, I did.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. So I don't want to spoil it all, but like,
ridiculous.
Yeah,
yes.
That's a game where I remember playing it, and it's like, it does fucked up things where it makes you think it's like deleted it off your computer and all sorts of like crazy nonsense. So I think Inscryption, from at least all trailers, had like similar stuff going to it. And obviously Chantel liked it, and she talks about similar sort of meta things the game does. So yeah, another one to add to the list. So there's 3 games in the last 7 days that you should add to your list of stuff to potentially check out. 3 10s. Unpacking. Insound Mind. Inscryption. They're all playable on PC computers. I think that's the only shared platform. I don't think there's any other. No, there's not. There you go. So if you're a PC, get all them. And then we've got Will. Last week I did talk about who that is. Review in progress. I forgot what I was talking about there for a second. Review in progress for Age of Empires 4. He's now posted his full review. He ended up giving an 8.5. He said Age of Empires 4 does well to balance a fine line between too new and too familiar. Excellent varied campaigns are the highlight features, along with doco videos that bring an understanding and appreciation of the battle situation and the technology of the time. So yeah, he really, really liked it, and he's a admitted Age of Empires super fan. Like, I believe it's one of his favorite franchises. So, and he says this one's up to par. So it's been a while since you played an Age of Empires. Because I haven't played one since I got one free in the Kellogg's, like most people. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but that's the last time I played one was when I was a kid, and it was free. I'd pay for my Age of Empires. Get the hell out of here. Give it to me this year. But shout out to Xbox for doing that. That was actually cool. Did we talk about that last week? Or did we make a joke? I can't remember.
Probably.
I can't remember.
I feel like any time it's come up.
Yeah, okay. You probably opened the show, but
I'm pretty sure we've like asked for the cereal and we still haven't got any. So
Xbox, what are you doing?
You don't even need to put the game in the cereal.
I don't want it. Send it to Will. You know what I mean? He tweeted out that he'll feel like he's made it if he's got cereal. My bar's actually higher than that. So, I mean, you can...
What
Send him the cereal.
What do you want sent? What do you want sent to you?
A car? I don't know.
I don't know how many game journalists are getting sent cars.
Maybe not these days, but back in
Doesn't
the Wild West, where
Back in the high days.
yeah, back in the Wild West. Yeah. And then the final thing that went up this week, and then I don't know if you both finish it, but I know Ash has, so jump on this. Marvel's Guardian of the Galaxy review. Polybird wrote a review for this one, his first review for the website. He said Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy is a surprisingly strong turn for a game adapted from a Marvel property. It focuses on the team dynamic to fill out its gameplay and relies on strong writing to carry its linear campaign while boasting nuanced performances and a soundtrack that would make James Gunn blush. And he also says it doesn't reach the height of Insomniac's Spider-Man, and he gave it an 8 out of 10. But yeah, reading his review, his main points sort of boil down to gameplay, fine, story, really good, characters, really good, soundtrack, good. So obviously the main hanger point being like the gameplay just isn't up to snuff with the rest of the elements by the sounds of it in his review. Ash, you've 100% beat it because I saw you tweet about it last night or whenever it was. 8 out of 10, saying everything he says. What do you reckon? Agree or?
I think it's fair. Yeah, I might give it a little bit higher because I just love the story that much. And like this and all the little like comic book stuff. But yeah, I think the combat does like it's not super interesting, and it does get a little bit tedious towards the end, where you're just going through wave after wave of people like fighting with that combat system. And then like I think he also mentions in the review, you fire the Milano like 3 or 4 times during the like really long, reasonably long campaign. And then there's 2 segments where you're like trying to escape from something, and then 2 segments where you're actually like fighting in like a dogfight in the Milano. Neither of which are super impressive or anything. So, yeah, I've loved the story. I really enjoy the characters, a lot of emotions and feelings and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would recommend Guardians of the Galaxy if you like story orientated, games. Just turn on the story mode, like knock down the difficulty, just go through the story, enjoy it, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm sure that would make combat much easier.
Is it hard though, or is it just annoying?
I think yeah, it does get a little annoying towards the end. I think. Especially when you're just fighting wave after wave. Like, you're on a spaceship towards the end. And it's like, even gets to the point where, the jokes are, oh, we got rid of this wave for you so you don't have to fight it. And that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Have you managed to beat it yet, Kieran? Or?
No, I haven't got back to it. I was playing something else with a lot of my time this week in and out. But, not Final Fantasy. It was something for a review. Thank you very much. Actually, I saw you shaking your head.
I haven't looked away. I didn't even see his face, so I can only assume.
He was shaking his head. No, something for a review that'll be coming out in a couple of weeks. But I've enjoyed my time with it so far. I just think, I think the moment-to-moment gameplay I'm not loving when it comes to the combat. But I'm loving the overall story and the narrative behind it, and I love the Guardians themselves. I think it's a good starting point, and if they do more with this franchise and do more with the Guardians, I'd like to see them kind of even progress further and change it up even more and see where else they can go with it.
Yeah,
surely they've got to do a second one.
I shouldn't say it's sold well from what I'd guess, just general
I don't know,
like talk
based on the president's comments this week.
Why did he say? Oh,
he called Avengers.
Oh, he said Avengers was disappointment. Yeah, I assume that's maybe coming off the back of this not being a disappointment. Yeah. But yeah, all the reviews, I'm surprised because I think I would have guessed more around a 7-ish as like an average, but I think it is around like an 8 on OpenCritic sort of thing. So it's definitely a lot higher than the trailers like would have had me guess. So I'm glad to see.
I think that it's the mediocre trailers kind of helped the word of mouth on this one.
Alright, let's get into the news for this week. Firstly, Elden Ring dropped 20 minutes of gameplay on... Fuck, I can't even remember what day. A couple days ago. They dropped 20 minutes of gameplay ahead of people I think. Oh yeah, people have been tweeting. Yeah, so some people,
Yeah.
not us. Some
Yet.
some people have got access to the technical beta already. Actually,
The CNT.
yeah, CNT. I would like to get into the general public one that's like at the end of next week. I actually don't know if I can or not, but I'm trying. But it looks really good. So 20 minutes of gameplay. It looks like a Souls game. So from like the general design of the battles and everything, like even some of the sound effects. So like when you kill an enemy, you still have that general I don't know what you call it, like the whoosh of souls or whatever, like the very souls like noise that comes out when you kill enemies and their souls drop on the ground. But also there's so many other things in this, like you're seeing now if you're watching the video version. Because there were parts of this where I'm like, oh, this could just be a Dark Souls level, and you wouldn't, or whatever, Demon Souls level or anything. But then there's parts like this, which I'm showing here now, where it's two characters, you're being led by someone, an AI companion of sorts, through like a stealth section where you're trying not to wake up this enemy. And there's other moments throughout this where you see stuff that is just very not Souls-like, even if the characters look like they belong in a Souls game, even if the battle, once they get in, looks like it's coming out of a Souls game. Like now they're in this big battle against a fucking giant riding a horse or whatever, and the AI companion's helping here, which is, so you're obviously doing a mission where
nice.
it is nice. So usually you play these games solo alone. It's like just it's interesting that you can have this sort of drop in, drop out of people to do stuff. Throughout the gameplay, you see different things. There's like a jump function. There's a fucking jump function. Function. But the big open world.
I don't think that's from this type of game.
Maybe not. There's the world looks pretty big. They have a sequence somewhere at the start of the gameplay where they open up the map and be like, I think I can find it quickly for the video version. Yeah, here we go. They have this part, they show off the map and they're like, look, you can put down custom markers and be like, oh, there's like a scary monster here that may be a equivalent to a mini boss level type thing. You can mark stuff, I guess, maybe as treasure that you're unable to access yet. Maybe you need to get a different gadget, I don't know, to come back and stuff like that. But yeah, it is an actual world to explore with different markers. I think lots of people who have been tweeting about it, or I've seen doing the whole like, it's just trying to combine all the things. Oh, it's the Souls like of this or whatever. So it's like, this is the Breath of the Wild of the Souls, that sort of thing. Which to a degree, it's like that is sort of a dead, like using that way those things to describe games. I think is a very like redundant thing at this point to always be like, it's the Breath of the Wild of the, or it's the Souls like of the thing. But I mean, if it's the game that's the combination of all the means, it is to a degree. It looks like a Breath of the Wild Souls like or whatever, what have you. But yeah, I think the number one thing that people, because I can see a lot of people who could never get into these games looking at this and go, that world looks cool. I like open world action adventure games, blah, 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 blah. But the key thing that I know a lot of people are going to be looking for in that early preview coverage or whatever that's going to be coming out over the next week is, how hard is it? Are there options to make it easier? Can I grind to make stuff easier? Like all these sorts of things. Because I already see people tweeting about it and being like, look, I can't play these games. They're too hard. That world looks really cool. The lore sounds really interesting. The George R.R. Martin being involved sounds really interesting. A lot of people are going to be looking for any way that they could possibly play. Like, for example, Ash, if this was accessible, would you care or no? Like, because if the straight up answer is no, then you're not really the person, but.
Maybe, it does look like an interesting world. It almost looks like Skyrim-esque, with the environments and that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it's piqued my interest, but yeah, obviously it depends on the combat and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And
is it hardcore Souls or like easy Souls?
Yeah.
Is there a difficulty slider?
I think that's going to be the thing a lot of people are looking for. And if I'm going to say, if there isn't a difficulty slider, which I'd be surprised if there was, but that would be cool because I'd like more people just to be able to explore the world. But if there's not a difficulty slider, the thing I'm going to be looking for is, okay, are there classes that are a lot easier? And the key thing, like, can you just overgrind? Can you, if you wanted to, could you spend like 5 hours grinding and make yourself so overpowered that it doesn't really matter going forward, and you can just do whatever the hell you want at that point, like things like this, So, but yeah, people are getting into that technique. I think they've already started. Oh no, I see people tweeting about it. Oh no, they are, because I think I saw what's his fake can't remember his name. Australian dude who does all the Souls things. He's like tweeting about it this morning, saying he's got it.
Lance
was tweeting saying, but he's sick from his second COVID shot. But I'll get your shot still, everyone. But yeah, so he's bedridden and can play it or whatever. But yeah, everyone's playing it, so we'll get some impressions out soon. But there's
small
a lot
price to pay for
the safety of everyone. Yeah. But everything looks really, really cool. The music sounds great from what's in it. Sound design, all this. The combat looks a lot faster than a Souls game. Like, it's not quite Bloodborne because you don't have shotguns to interrupt enemies and stuff like that. But it definitely is more along a faster Souls game than the slower Knight sort of stuff. All of the enemies, like you're seeing now, if you're watching the video version, I don't know what the fuck this thing in, but it looks like
some my hands.
Yeah. It's like some like. I don't know, like a king. It's got like a crown on.
How do you even control that?
I don't know, but I mean, there's dragons in this. The gameplay opens with a dragon, and you see dragons killed in the world and stuff. So it has like a lot of fantastical elements, but it also has a lot of that that horror, Lovecraftian vibe stuff that often from Soft draw from when they're doing these sorts of things. And I mean, you see they're like summoning in someone to help. So stuff like that would just make it easy, because often in these games you're like, fuck, if I had a second heal I would have been able to beat that boss, but you can just never have a way to get the enemies off your ass half the time. So and I mean, that person just got hit like 10 times there and didn't die, so it can't be that hard.
Lots of shields, buffs.
Do you have any thoughts, Kieran, on the
no, I think I'm very optimistic. I think this, like, even this 20-minute showed that this game has a lot more character and personality to it. I think I was fairly sold on it the moment the player had the encounter with the pot person, because there was just something very, I don't know, almost, I don't want to say Lord of the Rings, but there was something almost very kind of high fantasy about that encounter and like that conversation with that creature. But then on top of that, the world in the game itself just doesn't feel quite as claustrophobic as Dark Souls and Demon Souls always do. There's like a nature to FromSoft games that even if they're slightly more open, they have this claustrophobic nature to them that doesn't let you as a player feel comfortable when you're playing them. And I think this, even just looking at the open world, even just looking at the scale of the map, even just the basic design of like the main open areas that they kind of went through in this playthrough, made the world feel a lot more open and spacious, and that there was stuff there to do. So I'm definitely, I'm a lot more positive and open to this now than I was maybe prior to this 20-minute gameplay. But I'm excited to see how they adjust their core gameplay values and gameplay mechanics to invite more people to be involved with this game.
Yeah, I was just looking through the comments. I think this person here's sort of hit on the head. So they said, so they took the best aspects of Bloodborne and Sekiro and mixed them and added a highly refined Dark Souls formula. So, which is, to a degree, it does look like they've sort of cherry-picked the things people love most about all of the games they've done, and they've now combined them into not one game that feels the same, but like aspects of those games into something new, which is this open world, more story, narrative-driven thing that they haven't really done before.
I just hope you don't have to write an article about what to finish it.
Watch me ask for a review code and like link my Sekiro article.
It's okay. Do you want this level of hits?
Yeah.
Hey, change my
People
mind.
will still be talking about this game in 4 years' time.
I mean, every now and then, there's still someone who's like...
Regularly.
Yeah.
Someone comes along, comments on this like you just released it.
Yeah, like it just dropped it. Yeah.
It didn't come out.
Why do I shout
2 days after the game?
You just remind me. I don't always like, every now and then, we don't often get that many comments on like the bottom of articles or whatever. And when we do, I usually just reply and blah, 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 blah. But I just remembered, someone wrote the other day on my Unpacking review, 10 out of 10. Ha 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 ha. Wow. How much did they pay you for that score? Which I thought was hilarious, because at the same time as writing that, you had this whole argument, which I didn't add as a topic, but because it's just, we're here now anyway. But how much did they pay you for that score? And I was like, the whole discussion on Twitter at the time being is, Unpacking all those Steam reviews, people giving it shitty Steam reviews and saying that the game's really good, but thumbs down because it cost me $20 or $30 or whatever it costs, and
$30,
not worth
yeah.
it. So this person's like, how much did they pay you? I'm like, it's like fucking like 4 people that worked on the game. I don't know. Like, you reckon this random indie dev's like paying off random indie
news sites?
Yeah, sites.
They
Where you're like,
haven't
hey, give it a 10. I'm like, all right, that's quite funny. Yeah. Anyway, that was a side discussion. Unpacking is worth the money, by the way. It's not just.
I blame Game Pass.
I mean,
Fuck off, Ashley.
It's skewing people's views on the value of stuff.
people have always had this bad view on time
I was gonna
equals
say-
money on video games, though. Like, it was before Game Pass.
You haven't
This
spent much
this
time
creative variant. I ate this bunch of caviar in like a second.
Yeah.
Why is it costing me like?
Yeah,
$1
but you
million
see, the only
more?
people who eat caviar have enough money that they do not give a fuck.
Damn, Ashley, you know what caviar is? I don't even have a clue. Like, what the fuck?
Straight up horse poo. No, I'm joking.
It's fish eggs.
Yeah, fish.
Jeez.
I know.
Jesus Christ, you even know it's fish eggs? My God.
Yeah, I've seen. I'm cultured.
You was about to say you've seen some
Exactly.
show or movie, weren't you?
Yeah, I've watched movies and stuff where rich people eat caviar.
I've watched movies. Yeah, I mean, since I mentioned it, the hot 2 cents on that, because it's not really a topic I don't think most people should discuss, but or give credence to, because it's just idiots. But if you really think that because it took me, I think, just shy of 6 hours, like 5.5, let's say, 5.5 to 6 hours to beat Unpacking. And I could definitely have spent probably 7 if I were being a bit more meticulous, making sure I could not putting that box on that shelf until I completely understand what Blu-ray or game it is supposed to be, and not just, I don't know what the fuck that is. All right, on the shelf. Could have hit closer to 7. But if you don't think a 5 to 6 hour game is worth somewhere between like $20, $30, and you think that's, I mean, it's not even the time. It's like, if you don't think a game that you walk out of and go, wow, that gave me a really,
That was good.
that was like such a great experience. That hit me on so many emotional levels. I've never played anything like this before. What is the design? Oh my God, there's so much work that went into this, but I beat it in 5 hours. So that doesn't add up to maths, to money spent.
These people don't realize that their argument in verse would be a problem for them. If people who created like 100-hour epics or like big scale games or open world environments that have like, you know, hundreds of hours to put in them, if they turn around all of a sudden and went, yeah, our game's $200.
Yeah.
Well, it's like I spent 200 hours on Skyrim. So
Elden Ring is $300.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like your logic around this doesn't make sense. Stop trying to think that time equals value and understand that game development costs money. These people need to both, you know, pay their staff as well as put money towards their next game for them to pull out for you to enjoy. Get over it. Pay the money. Enjoy the game.
I don't
Fuck
even get it,
off.
because like if I'm packing with 3 hours and it gave me the same feeling, I still thought it was 10 out of 10 amazing, and it was still half the time, I'd still be like, it's still worth $30.
Is it
Wait.
at the time, right? Weren't people buying Telltale games individually at some point, like individual per episode, and it was like $20-$30 sometimes?
I don't know who was doing that. Some
Like,
sick
I
fuck.
think some people would like buy like the first episode of a
I
series.
assume just everyone bought season
Yeah, I
pass.
assume everyone bought season pass. Some crazy people out there probably doing that shit though.
That's how they bought it. That's how they funded the rest of the season.
Yeah, well, that's how they. Yeah, yeah. No, Unpacking is definitely worth every dollar. I say this as someone who got the code for free. However, will happily buy it again on my Switch shortly to probably just play it again. I'm just waiting until I have because I've been playing Mario Party. I'm like, I'll just wait.
A break.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
but
A gap.
I'm happy to play that game again because I really like it, and I'm happy to buy it on my Switch because it'll just be a nice like, I might just do this level before bed, and I can just slowly play it over the course of like maybe one level a night or something over a period of a couple of weeks, but 100% worth the money. Play Unpacking.
Yeah. And if you only want to play games that get along, don't buy it. It's really that simple.
But also buy it.
But also buy it.
Or play it for free. It's on fucking Game Pass. On
Wow. Wow.
I mean, like, if you don't, just saying.
No wonder people think it's worth too much money if you're paying for free on Game
I
Pass.
just want people to play it.
Fucking hell.
So Kotaku had this interesting article about Unpacking. That's why I just got reminded of this. They
Yeah.
wrote, hit puzzle game Unpacking features 14,000 audio files, replicating ordinary sounds.
Wait, so you're telling me for $30 I get
you get a sound
Foley
file,
kit with I get a Foley kit with 14,000 sounds?
just hack open.
Sounds like a bargain to me.
Yeah, costs more than that online, I tell you. Unpacking is more than meets the ears. The chill wave puzzle game developed by Brisbane-based Witchbeam is out this week for Switch, PC, and Xbox via Game Pass. Apparently features a whopping 14,000 individual Foley sound effects. No, that's not a typo. Following Unpacking's release, fans quickly took note of the depth in the game's audio track. One tweet by Francesco Del Pia, a sound designer at the Chinese Room, who did Dear as the Everybody's Gone to Rapture, summed up the reaction quite well. The 49-second clip shows the player picking up a can of not Feebreeze and placing it on various surfaces: a desk, a table, a mattress, the carpet, the lid of a toilet tank, the tiled bathroom floor, the cushion of an armless dining room chair. What's more, the sound noticeably changed with every placement, the same way placing a can of real-world Phoebes would on a real-world table twice in a row won't make the two identical sound effects. Listen to the clip on repeat. There's almost an ASMR quality to the audio loop. And yeah, I don't know if you have seen that clip, but it was going around earlier this week, and yeah, it's quite insane to watch.
On Twitter, yeah.
I did not.
It's like, and it's one of those things like watching it, I'm like, yeah, I was aware, but it's just like I didn't do that extent. Like, you know, like purposely using the same item to like move around to different surfaces on the house. So it's just like, wow. And it really does sound really different. There's so much detail to the game. They don't even know. So that's really, really cool.
And yet you think it's too short.
You think it's too short.
See, you just need to go around like testing the sounds. Make sure you place it on every single surface you possibly
so you can get the money's worth.
That's how you get your money's worth.
So you get your 100 hours out of Unpacking.
Boost those numbers.
Yeah. Also, shout outs. I'll say the other thing I found quite interesting was Buddy Watson from Radio Watson. He was streaming Unpacking early in the week, and I found that quite interesting to watch because like he was doing his first playthrough, and you would think this is a game that has that same sort of getting someone else's reaction at the same time as like, because you know it's a puzzle game about putting stuff out or whatever. But there's like, and I don't want to spoil. No, just in case people haven't seen it. But there's like a key sort of moment in a level where it's part of the design, and one of the reasons the game is designed so well is because they sort of force you into this discovery with one of the items that you're unpacking. But yeah, and I remember playing it and having the same sort of realization about this particular item and watching him come to the same realization and try and place it in different locations and stuff. And it's sort of become I've seen a lot of people tweet about it, this one thing lately. I don't think it's spoilers. It's about the, what the fuck is your, what do you call your thing? You completed your degree? What's that called? Is it just a degree? Is it just? But what's the?
It's just a degree.
Okay,
yeah, it's a degree.
It's a degree thing.
Certificate,
right?
if you want.
Certificate. Yeah. So that it's that. If people know what I'm talking about, that's what I'm talking about. And I've seen some memes about it quite recently on Twitter, so it's becoming an interesting moment. But yeah, that game was actually quite fun to watch someone else do it because he was also being a lot more meticulous than I was. Not saying I was like rushing for it, but like he was like Buddy was like fucking.
So what you're saying is it took Buddy like 3 hours and 15 minutes to finish the game, right?
An extra 3 hours, 15 minutes on top of what I did. I don't know. Yeah, so I was surprised just how interesting it was watching someone else play. League of Legends. So in case people forgot, shout outs. Arcane starts this. It was started yesterday. By the time we listened to this, it did not start on a Friday or a Saturday even. It started on a Sunday because it's coming after the Worlds, right? No, it's not the Worlds. Is it?
After LCS.
LCS.
Right?
Yes.
It's either Worlds or LCS.
It's LCS. Right? It's not Worlds. Yeah. So that's exciting.
Congrats to whoever won. I was cheering you on.
I highly doubt
it. You did good with those plays.
No. But just as a
the ganks
PSA for you, what the fuck did you just say? Did you say
with
gate?
The ganks.
Oh, I thought you said gates. I was like, PSA for people who like
League of Legends. They also use those gates really well.
Yeah, try. PSA for people who care about League of Legends. Jinx has joined Fortnite, so Eurogamer Riot, developer of the ridiculously popular free-to-play game League of Legends, has teamed up with Epic, developer of the ridiculously popular free-to-play game Fortnite, for a partnership that will see several Riot titles being made available via the Epic Game Store and an appearance from League of Legends character Jinx for Fortnite. The Jinx crossover gets underway today and is now very much a norm in the ever-revolving advertising billboard that is Fortnite's metaverse world, will take the form of a purchasable skin in the shooter's item shop. So Jinx, of course, is the star of Arcane, which hopefully is good. Maybe you've watched it already. I do not know. Maybe you've binged
Check out what do you want to watch if you want to find out.
Yeah, we shall be talking about it. So, yeah, Jinx in Fortnite, I can never keep up with this fucking game, but there you go. Red Dead Redemption Remaster, reportedly in development by its Games Radar. A new Red Dead Redemption Remaster is reportedly in the works of PC and consoles. The new game comes from Rockstar Magazine, as first spotted by Reddit, an outlet with a track record of reporting Rockstar-related information in the past. Now Rockstar Magazine is claiming knowledge of a remaster of Red Dead Redemption over a decade after original release in 2010. The platforms aren't specified by the outlet, but Rockstar Magazine specifies not to expect a complete remake of Red Dead Redemption for this new remaster, but rather a visual overhaul and upgrade, as with Rockstar's upcoming GTA Remastered trilogy. Elsewhere in the same report, Rockstar Magazine claims things aren't looking so good for the oft-rumored GTA 6. The outlet claims that after studio co-founder Dan Houser's departure back in early 2020, the game has effectively had to restart development and is currently in a messy state. GTA 6 is a rumor that's been long gestating for the video game industry at large, with numerous reports claiming various details about an unannounced game over the last 2 years. So would any of you play Red Dead Redemption Remastered if it's the same degree as the upcoming GTA games, where they more or less redo the gameplay so the shooting and stuff's more in line with the Red Dead Redemption 2, update some of the visuals, add some slight tweaks?
I think it's more worth playing through that than it is worth playing through GTA 3, 4, and 5, and 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. Just because you can now play Red Dead Redemption with the context of number 2, which is a prequel to that game.
Makes a bit more sense. It'll probably sell more, I guess.
Yeah, and it's more the fact
you don't think there's any context to be learned from playing those GTA games?
Not
after Grand Theft Auto 5?
No, I don't think there is, really. As a vast majority, there isn't that much. There isn't, you don't have one of the GTA 5 characters as a younger version of themselves, or the other way around, or whatever. There's no... I think it's just because, John Marston's story gets a lot more bigger now that you know its context within Red Dead Redemption 2. And kind of you have a bit more of a connection with many of the characters you meet throughout Red Dead Redemption now.
Yeah, I still wouldn't really play it, I don't think, because I know I tried to play Red Dead Redemption prior to 2, and I went out and got a copy, and I played it for a few hours and everything, but I just think the overall mission design and the structure of I was bored very fast. So unless they're going to change that, which I highly doubt, because they'll just update how it plays, not the actual missions, probably not for me. But
you haven't even bothered with Red Dead Redemption 2.
And I haven't.
Reason to play.
But
you all know Dylan. He loves that fast action. He doesn't want any slow
he doesn't
story,
want any
world building.
No world building, no slow burn action. He wants no multiplayer experience where you accuse your friends of being imposters and try and lie and gaslight to each other. The truth is coming out about Dylan nowadays. He just wants to be alone and unpack boxes.
Karen, December 6th, if you're free and not doing anything else, I believe that's when Among Us drops on consoles.
Oh, no way.
So I reckon you'll be free, right, around that time to jump in.
Really? I don't know.
I could make time for you. I could make time outside of Final Fantasy for you during that time, I would have had...
Or is he just telling you that because he's the imposter?
Whoa.
Well, damn. Yeah, but no, because I would have started Final Fantasy on December 3rd, so I was 3 days
in. So the way I said that with sir, I would have already started the video game by December 3rd.
I would have begun it. So
I would have gotten enough of a taste that I would need to get a little bit of a...
It would be time.
I would have already been raiding with my paladins, dear sir.
After playing the game, I would need a rest, and being an imposter, and you being a sussy barker, would be a perfect time to step away from the game.
Just had the real
Listen,
for the first time
this time away would be a perfect time to tell people that you can play Final Fantasy online up to level 60 for free, right? Spreading that cult message all over the place.
He's part of the cult. You've officially inducted Ash into the cult.
I was going to say, Ash, I didn't know you played Final Fantasy as well.
I know the signals, so you can spot them.
Yeah, that's the opening of the cult equivalent of "Good morning, sir. Would you like to talk about Jesus?"
Except it's so much more effective because the value of money you get out of playing A Realm Reborn and Heavensward for free as a trial player of Final Fantasy Online is a fantastic way to get involved with the game.
We are not sponsored by Square Enix.
And not sponsored by Square Enix, but as the game has just been delayed an extra 2 weeks, that's like an extra 2 weeks of you no-lifing all the way through the expansions. You've still got time to do that.
Don't cry, Ishida.
Oh my god. I was about to say, it's good. It's good you're actually having. It's probably good that I was like, do you want to do this other game that we can't talk about? Because like at least you're having a bit of a like. Is it not helpful to have a little bit of a rest before the new one drops? Wouldn't it have been too much?
No, it is. Like, no. I have my like mini goals, and then once those mini goals are applied, I will like take a couple hours off, and then
you was going to say a week. You can't commit to that.
It was just a bit, okay? Okay, it was just a bit.
Yeah. And I'm Chris Pratt.
Well, apparently next week you are, so...
No, he's getting replaced. He's getting replaced. Let's keep kayfabe up. Ash is getting replaced.
Okay.
All right, moving on.
What a last show.
Yeah. Going out with a bang, that's for sure. Only a couple of stories left. PC Gamer writes, Devolver Digital has gone public with Sony acquiring a minority stake. Indie publisher Devolver Digital has gone public today with Sony already acquiring a minority stake. It's the largest US-based company to ever go live on the London Stock Exchange, floating at around $950 million. Sony has already made a 5% investment in the publisher, with Chinese video game behemoth NetEase purchasing an 8% stake. Devolver says its staff are still the majority owners, though, with its founders and all current employees owning a stake in the company. In an announcement, Devolver called the milestone, quote, a kind of validation, end quote, for the team's hard work since 2009, adding, quote, we're insanely proud of what we've accomplished over the last decade, and we genuinely believe that this will make us even better, end quote. It said that the going public will help it invest in games it's currently working on and partner with games that has already, quote, previously not been able to consider, end quote. How do we feel about all this? I've seen some people being like, oh, NetEase, 8%, that's sort of the hang up. Some people grab onto the Sony thing and be like, well, 5%, they basically own them now. But yeah, I mean, in general, Ash, any thoughts?
No, it's all just business stuff that like really doesn't make too much of a difference. You know, how many people have got stakes in Epic and that kind of stuff? So I mean,
well, Epic, like,
Apple has some stakes in fucking Epic, and they're trying to fucking jam them in, I tell you.
You know, as long as like the controlling majority of the company is within staff control, and it's
still the same people.
I'm happy. It's like, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's going to change their vision, or like they're suddenly going to want to change to like only big budget games and things that are going to be super profitable and that kind of stuff. We're still going to get the crazy, you know, E3 press conferences going forward. Yeah. It's still going to be Devolver. It's just, you know, it's on the London Stock Exchange, which is interesting. I don't know.
I mean, most companies sort of being able to go public is a...
Yeah, but why? They're US based.
I don't know.
But they want to they want to look like they're more cultured, you know?
I mean, it's hard.
They're trying to fool people into thinking they're boring, I guess.
But it's hard. When you're a video game publisher and you could potentially work with companies from all over the world.
That's true.
Like, at that point, you know. As a side, they also acquired, as part of this announcement, they confirmed or said that they had acquired Dodge Roll, which is Into the Gungeon developer. I don't know if I've spelled that right. Is that right? Is that right? I'm going to double check this. Developer of Reigns, which I've wrote as Nereal. Is that right? It is right. All right, let's just double check. Nereal Limited, who's the developer of Reigns, the card game. They did the Game of Thrones one and everything. And Firefly Studios, who is the developer of Stronghold. So they've grabbed those three. Enter the Gungeon developer. I'm like, yeah, that's probably that makes sense. Brains, actually, yeah. The last one, the Stronghold series, I'm like, I didn't know that was such a big thing, but there we go. So I've got those three as well. Do you have any thoughts on any of this Devolver stuff, Kieran?
I think, Devolver is building itself quite nicely. It always has. And I think it has a very good position within the gaming community and the viewpoint. I think it has a lot of goodwill. So unless they don't reveal that there's some kind of evil villain and they've placed a laser on the moon and they're going to try and shoot everybody down with it, then no, I think this is only a positive, right?
I have nothing wrong with this. The only thing I'm going to say now is that I think we need to clarify. I don't think Devolver published games count as indie games anymore.
No, correct.
I feel like that's surely and I'm sure this won't be a thing. I'm sure there'll still be Devolver games in indie game categories, at least for the next 12 months, at least coming into the Game Awards season. Like Death Store is definitely going to be put under Best Indie Game and whatever else. But I think at this stage, publicly traded company that was worth $950 million.
Not really independent.
Not really an indie, yeah. So I'm going to say that they open this. PC Gamer opens with indie publisher Devolver Digital. I think going forward, surely we're going to start calling them publisher, video game publisher, Devolver Digital. I would say they're not going to lose what makes them them. Only time will tell, but they're not got that little. They may still do their streams and their E3 things with their little independent flavor and flair, and I'm glad and I hope they keep that. However, they're not. They cannot fit into that what we call indie, because indie to me feels there's a bar and they're like well above it. Like they're well above what from a money point of view. And then the last story, because I just thought this was funny. So firstly, Kotaku writes, a Squid Game clone is taking over Twitch. All over Twitch right now, Crab Game. By the way, so Kieran, I presume you've seen this because you watch Twitch. But B, have you watched? Yes. Have you watched any Squid Game or no? The TV show?
Do you know what Squid Game is?
Do you know what Squid Game is?
I know what Squid Game is. I've not watched the series.
Okay, yeah, I thought that. But I thought Twitch
I've
would
seen
be yes.
enough of it. I've seen enough of it to understand. GTA RP recently had their whole version of Squid Game happen. I watched all that. Look, Squid Game's everywhere. And
okay, I was about to say, because I was like, I guarantee there's a lot of people who anyway. All over Twitch right now, Crab Game, much like the Celophododic. What the fuck does that mean? It's time to learn a new word, everyone. Dylan once again showing that you're never too old to learn what an English language word is. It means zoology. Did anyone else know what this is? No? Just me? All right, it's fine. That's good.
Just
We're all learning. You knew what this meant? I didn't know what Cephalopodic. Zoology, relating to or resembling.
It's like cuttlefish, and like that's the type of animal it is.
Cephalopod,
like a mammal.
Yeah, cephalopod, a marine mollusk of the class of cephalopoda, characterized by well-developed heads and eyes. Oh, I get why they're using that word to describe that. Okay, I get it. Yeah, because the way characters look.
Because a squid is one of.
Yeah, okay, get you. All right. Netflix show gleefully emulates is a multiplayer battle royale game where players compete in a series of events based on childhood games. One by one, they eliminated until the last surviving players crown the winner. It's created by Norwegian developer Danny, who earlier this year found similar Steam-based popularity with survival roguelike game Muck. Unlike director Wang Dong-hyuk's drama series Squid Game, which criticizes capitalism and makes social commentary on wealthy inequality, Crab Game leaves politics at the door. This is simply a game about crushing players in games of chance and skill to get that sweet Pog champ. What the fuck did I just say?
It's all about the
what
Pog
the fuck
champ,
did I just say?
Not as in chat.
Fuck
not as
context.
Crab Game then gets even weirder by putting some old-fashioned Xbox Live voice chat in the mix. The game uses proximity voice chat, but also makes players' mics sound like they're coming out of a megaphone down the block from you. The voice chat can be disabled, thank God, but players will trash talk you via messages unless you disable that too. So I have played half an hour of this today because I was like, let me jump on the meme train here and give this game a look-see. It is atrocious. It's not a good video game and not something I suggest anyone plays. So unless you're a young kid, I guess, who finds these things amusing to a degree. It is, for a start, it feels very weird playing the games without any of the sort of the dramatized, real, like the drama behind these things in the show and whatever else. Like, it is completely like, is like 100% watch something and take away the least important aspect of the program. And also, at least from the few games I played, everyone playing it is horrible on voice chat and horrible in text chat, and it is disgusting. And I can't remember the last time I've heard so many words that I would have to bleep. And I did have to bleep one. I uploaded a clip on Twitter, and you probably won't notice, but there's a point there where I've cut in some audio of the English version of Squid Game where the voice actually goes, red light. That was added because someone said the F word, and I don't mean fairy or friends. I mean the nasty one.
Fuck.
Yeah, on that one. No, I mean the one I will not say.
The nasty
Figure
one.
it out. Yes. And I've heard that.
No.
I heard that a few times.
So you played with a bunch of people who should be involved in a death.
Yeah.
Death battle.
I mean, there was maybe not all of them. There was a 10-year-old kid in there apparently. When he sounded 10 and he said he was 10, so I don't know why he was playing it because he's definitely not old enough to read the subtitles into the fucking show. So
No, he watched the
He
dub.
watched the dub, the terrible dub, yeah. So between all that, and then also the text would be going off. Someone was like telling someone else that they should kill themselves because they lost the game, and someone like pushed them off the side of this ice thing, whatever, and they fell in the water. And the chat, this dude's like, "Fuck you, your life is meaningless. I hope you fucking die," and all this stuff. I'm like, look, I used to play League. I've seen chat, but it's been a while since I've played games where people were liking to chat this stuff. And also, we're talking about a game that was made for like $5 based on a show that very much makes you feel bad about treating other people badly, that's how I felt by the end of Squid Game, between like the capitalism talks, but also, I mean, surely if you watch the show, you're like, man, maybe we should be better to one another, like sort of thing. And then someone watches that, they're like, yeah, meme game, I'll play it. I totally understood the context. Let me get in here and tell this fucking person to kill themselves. Like, I was like, I did my due diligence. I've played the game. No, thank you. It's not worth the memes. Like, there is like a funny value to this to a degree, but my God, the people playing it that are an important part of like the experience actually being playable. I jumped between server rooms. I went between an Australian one to a US one, whatever, all these ones. One was called Big Dick Energy. Another one said, will you suck me off? Like, it is 100% big bro energy up in this game, and not for me. Have you watched any of this on the Twitches, Kieran? Because I haven't watched any on Twitch.
I've watched bits and pieces. It is some form of Twitch game. Before this, as I said earlier, there was the GTA RP. There was also a version of Squid Game on Roblox that people were attempting to play. Look, at the end of the day, it is, even this is kind of a commentary on the whole capitalism storyline, is that it is good content. It is another game that brings all these people together and kind of pushes it forward and kind of...
The good thing, if they're all here, they're not elsewhere.
Exactly. Look, it is... Games like these, I think, especially games that are more accessible to very young adults. I don't even want to call them young adults, teenagers.
The game is free. That's why so many people...
The game is free, yeah. The games that are accessible, because they're free, tend to have more toxic communities of people that are just getting on the game because, they're able to. They don't have to ask their parents to buy it, and they're just terrible people on it because they haven't quite learnt yet that you need to be good. Being a good person doesn't just stop when you get on the computer. I think the game itself, it's a positive... Not a positive, but it's good content for people. It's not really something I would want to jump into. It's just like a scuffed version. Like, honestly, it's just a scuffed version of Fall Guys with the Squid Game skin over the top of it. So
there's another one coming out too. I've seen on Steam. There's another one like
there'll be more. There'll be more. Everybody do. This will be the equivalent of battle royale games for a little bit, where to go off the back of this huge hit that was Squid Games to introduce this in more ways than one, it's definitely the way to go with it. Yeah.
Also, why didn't they call it Octopus Games?
I don't know. It's so fun. They're like, we won't call it Squid Game so we don't get sued. I think they're trying to... But it looks everything like Squid Game, and we just won't use any of the sound effects or, it's like a weird legality Netflix is like, we're making video games now, motherfuckers. Sued. They're like, we're going to take one out of Nintendo's book. See for $5 million.
Pink light.
Yeah, pink light.
Aqua light.
Imagine. And then adding on to that, because I was reading this earlier in the week and I was like, well, I'm already bringing up Squid Game, so this is an interesting story. Kotaku writes Netflix Squid Game is accidentally making one Twitch streamer's life way harder. Netflix's Squid Game is a popular show, having been watched by some 142 million households worldwide since it hit stream services on September 17th. Unfortunately for Twitch streamer Lydia Squid Game Ellery, the username and brand she's built for the past decade is in jeopardy due to a perceived association with the show. Now it's costing her work. In a BBC report, Ellery said that because her online handle Squid Game on Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube, Squid Gaming on Twitter is the same as the same of Netflix Korean survival drama, she's been flooded with hateful messages. People have also tried hacking into accounts due to this association, all for a handle she picked because it was, quote, just a silly name. She continued in the quote and said, I started getting abusive messages from people. People were getting angry with me because they were mega fans and thought I took the account from the show. I had to turn off notifications on Instagram because it was just constant and the phone has been flooded, end quote. As a result of this perceived association with the violent show, Ellery tweeted earlier this week that she's not only considering changing her handle, but she's also losing work opportunities because people don't want to employ her now. One example of harassment Ellery has received came toward the end of October, which she tweeted a screenshot of a direct message. In this photo, someone calls her a hack. They said, you're not Squid Game, you hack. I mean, great tits, but you're not Squid Game. So...
Fucking
so yeah, she's a member of Yogcast as well, if you do that. But yeah, I know I never heard of this person, but when I saw the story go up in Kotaku earlier in the week, I was like, oh wow, that is like the worst to have like such a red. And you would have thought until literally prior to September, Squid Game. Like, do you reckon you're good for life? No one's ever gonna like fuck this up? You know, what popular thing...
What are the odds someone's going to put those two words together?
And make it into a popular show, but yeah.
And not only that show is also going to be quite divisive and successful and have a lot of murdering and just flat out kind of dark connotations to it.
The show, well, they also say that apparently BBC didn't want to work with her because of the connotations to her being involved with Squid Game, so... That was another bit. But yeah, currently she's still Squid Game and everything on, as I'm recording anyway, she's still Squid Game everywhere.
Squid Gaming?
Yeah. Squid Game on Twitch and then Squid Gaming on Twitter and whatever else. But she, I mean, I don't know this person. I've never watched their streams, but that sucks.
No, Lydia's really...
Just cool. Swap over to Crab Game, right?
Yeah,
swap over to Crab Game. Fucking hell. No, I think...
Octopus Game, that's what...
Should be Mollusk Game.
Calamari Game.
Damn, people like Calamari. Calamari's good shit.
Just good shit. I do find it... Well, it's kind of reminded me of another story from this week. You know how Facebook announced their big Meta rebranding or whatever?
Metaverse, yeah.
Apparently, there's already a company called Meta. So they want a couple of $1 million to take the name.
Oh, really?
It's like, why aren't these massive, companies figuring out whether they can take the trademarks for these things or not before they announced it?
You would think, but...
Because it was a similar kind of thing with Netflix back when they were splitting their DVD thing. They had like some weird name that we're going to switch it to, but that name was already taken by somebody.
Don't recall that.
Yeah. Well, you'd think there would be...
We're also how long into social media? Every name for everything has been taken at this point.
Look,
surely.
It's just a case where you've got to, maybe people should do like a quick... It'd be interesting to see if there was any research done into the name Squid Game and they actively saw somebody else call it and went, fuck it, we don't care. We're going to be bigger or whatever.
There's no way they looked up to see if a Twitch streamer had the name Squid Game.
No, Twitch streamer, but like, I'm sure, one of the things she said was the fact that previously you could Google Squid Game or Squid Gaming and she would come up. If you Google that now, she's nowhere on the first.
She's on page like 25 probably.
Yeah, like it is. It's a big hit, and I feel sorry for her because she does really good content on Godcast and stuff. So Hopefully, she finds a way to either rebrand and maintain all of her goodwill that she's had previously. But yeah, it kind of fucking sucks, and it's not something you really hear about very often.
Yeah, it's like either you rebrand or you put all your bets on one basket and say that the hype and interest of this.
The hype's going to die down eventually. You know, it's fine. They're definitely not doing a season 2, right?
The director and creator said that they're not doing a season 2, so Netflix is just going to do one anyway, I'm sure. But
no, they don't do that.
No, they'll be like, it'll just be Squid Games US or something. Like, it'll be like an American version or something.
American remake, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if a show came out, Netflix did a show called Explosion Network that.
Be like,
Man.
wow.
That'd be annoying.
Man.
Be like, yes, finally we can finally go back to Pleasure Explosion.
I mean, there's probably more likely they'll put out a cartoon show that's MA15 plus and named Pleasure Explosion. Yeah, that's nice. Anyway, that'll do it for this week's episode of Arcade Couch. Let us know any comments, questions, or concerns you've had for the show, or weird names you've got on Twitter that you hope no one steals. Tweet at us or join our Discord. ExplosionNetwork.com/Twitter takes you to our Twitter page. ExplosionNetwork.com/Discord takes you to our Discord page. And if you like this episode and thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page, ExplosionNetwork.com/support to buy us a coffee. And until next week, see you here, same time, same couch. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Are you stopping yourself from saying something?
No, that's the final lines on the podcast.
Hey, don't forget you can subscribe to the show wherever you're currently listening, and you can drop a review if you can. Find more great shows like this and more content over at explosionnetwork.com, and please consider supporting us for as little as $1 over on our Ko-fi page by heading to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thanks for listening.